We're up there, huh?
Rolling.
Hi, I'm Steve Hefter. I'm here with Matt Schofield, backstage at the Hamilton in Washington, D.C. After his fantastic show. Thanks, Matt. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
I've seen you several times in the last couple of months, last year or so, and I got to say this was probably the best show I've seen.
Very interesting to hear that.
Yeah, and why is that interesting?
Just
from your perspective?
Because tonight was one of those where I felt like I had to work at it. You know, some nights are like a walk in the park. Other nights you've got to just push yourself and push yourself. It's part of growing as a player, though, as well, I think. But for me, I was like, oh man, all night I was like not quite getting where I wanted to get. But that we're talking about like the last 1% that only I would know.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm well aware of that, but often that's the way. Sometimes when it feels like you're having to work extra hard to get it where you want to go, is the one that people always come up and say, yeah, man, that's the best I've heard you play. Actually, funny thing, even Simon Law over in the UK, my tour manager, the guy who makes my guitars, my front of house guy, often he likes the ones that are a bit of a fight. And he often says that.
Well, the audience can hear something that you're putting out there.
Maybe that's the thing. Yes, yeah. It's a different energy, maybe.
So tonight was the last night of the current tour?
It was, yes, it was.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we made it through alive once again. Lots of miles. So we started in Florida. Actually, was it Friday night? I think the first show, but we've done a day's rehearsal.
Yeah, and you opened for Tedeschi Trucks.
We did a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, how was that?
That was fantastic. Always a pleasure to be with those guys. Obviously, big fan of Derek's playing, and Susan's fantastic. And we've known Susan a little while. Did some festivals back in Europe in like 2006. Kept crossing paths back then, and
right.
So it's nice to, I think that crowd is very receptive to what we do. It certainly seemed that way the other night. We got a great response. So nothing to lose by doing that. It was a new place for us, Richmond, right? So this is a big country and lots of people to reach. So we were coming past, and so to get to do 40 minutes with those guys on our way past is perfect.
Nice. Did Derek get a chance to play with you?
No, we didn't play together, but we did have a beer afterwards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little chat about various things.
So where are you off to now? Home?
Back to the UK for a week. Also to pop back into the studio to finish mixing our new record.
Which should be out when?
Sometime early next year.
Okay.
We haven't got a release date yet. It's when the label feels it's going to be best set for the right time. So
Is it done?
What's that?
Is it complete?
I've just got to mix it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we actually started in April before we'd signed a new record deal with Provogue Records, which might be the first time I've mentioned that in an interview. So there's an exclusive.
Provogue?
Mascot Provogue Records. They're based in the Netherlands, but they've been around for a long time. But they, in the last few years, they have just managed to gather together this roster of basically the best guitarists alive in the world, in my opinion. Robin Ford is with them now. Robert Cray is with them now. They handle Joe Bonamassa in Europe. They have Government Mule. They've got Kenny Wayne Shepherd's new band with Stephen Stills.
Yeah.
So we're talking like for like the kind of blues rock side of things. They've got it pretty much in the bag.
Good.
So they just did Robin's new record and Robert Cray's most recent one. So I've known about it for years, but was very happy to join the club.
They asked you?
Yeah. Well, it's been a thing of we've known each other for quite a while, and so I was looking for a new label, and so we spent a long time deliberating, about things and going back and forth, as you do with these things. And I was in a position where I really wanted to take a second after being on a certain path for essentially 8 or 9 years, you know, of just maybe I'm not going to worry about it for a year. I'm just going to keep playing our shows, and we put out our little live album in the meantime, because it's been a while since we had any new live stuff, and just keep just see what came along, what kind of panned out, and what felt good. I just wanted to step back, you know, like kind of get off the train for a second.
Sure.
And so now we're ready to get back on it.
Okay.
But we actually started recording. We put down some of the basic tracks for the record in April this year. But then, you know, we had a tour in May, and then we had a big tour in the UK in June with Joe Satriani, and then we were in the Northeast in July out here, and then back to Norway, and then some other shows in August somewhere. And so, you know, like then it's September, so I went back and did some singing last month in the UK, then I had to come back and do this tour, and now I'll go back again next week to the UK and mix it, you know. So it's been that kind of trying to fit it in between, and in the meantime we've finalised the deal, so I'm very excited about that. So once I hand it to Provoke in a couple of weeks' time, they'll get to work on deciding when.
Good. So you're going to do all the mixing yourself?
I'm doing it with Simon, actually, who, you know, we've known each other for 20-something years, and he's my front of house engineer on tour in Europe. I can't bring him over here because I'd have to get him a visa, which it's, you know, tricky, and rather luxurious for a sound guy, you know. Yeah, so we've worked together. He builds my guitars, he works with my amps. And he's a guitar player himself, and so he's been engineering us live. So we really wanted to try and get my guitar tone kind of like it sounds live.
Sure.
And I've never really quite got that up before on an album. So that was kind of the goal, and to really go for a performance type album where we're capturing a moment in time, play as much as we can as a band in the room, and just get the sounds of hearing us on to a record. So Simon was manning the board, and you know, everybody kind of contributed ideas from a production point of view. Really.
Well, it's great to hear you're doing it that way.
It was a very open process. So we recorded basic tracks, and it's a slightly different lineup. Obviously, Johnny's on it. Can't get rid of him at this point. And
is he back there?
Yeah. So it's far too late to do anything about that. And then, but we got a bass player on the new record.
Oh, okay.
So it was just time to mix it up again. We've done quite a few trio records.
Can you share who that is?
Yeah, it's a guy called Carl Stambridge, who I have known also for probably 15 years. He's out of London, and we played in several bands together back when I lived in London 10, 15 years ago. And then actually when Johnny was getting married last year, Carl did a show with us in England with Kevin on drums, and it was a power trio thing. I went, wow, that's really good, man. I forgot how good he is.
Yeah, we talked about that in January.
Right, yeah. So when it came around to this, it was like, okay, Johnny can play some piano and electric piano and clavinet and stuff as well as the organ, so we can add another layer of colour to the sound of the band. Nice. And get Carl in on bass, and then on drums is a friend of mine from Toronto called Jordan John, who actually did my July dates with me on drums when we were over in July, and he's a ridiculously talented musician who he only really drums for me now when I can persuade him to come out, but he has his own band. He's a singer and a guitar player, and also keyboard player and bass player.
You're hoping
He's just one of those guys. Well, as much as possible, but he has his own kind of career, his own band. He's just released his own record as singer and frontman, you know, guitar player. So it was kind of more like there was this opportunity in April. He was coming over to Europe, and there was opportunity for us to get in the room for a week and make a record.
Oh, good.
So I kind of did it like that, and again, it was kind of between things, you know. So it was like, I'm just going to start recording some stuff with people that I like playing with. I have the opportunity to do that, and maybe it will become the next record.
And Johnny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people I like playing with, and Johnny Anderson, and and take it from there, you know. So it was great. Jordan brings a very different mindset to it. He's a fantastic drummer, but he's always, because he's a vocalist, and he's doing quite a lot of like BVs on this record as well, so making me sound good. That he comes at it from a slightly different perspective than perhaps your more usual drummer. You know, he's coming at it from like a vocalist perspective, but playing drums, which was his first instrument. So it just gives a different kind of thing. So I've known him like 8 or 9 years, and we play together all the time. Actually, in the basement in Toronto, just for fun, you know. And it was like, why don't we should really make a record at some point.
Oh, I'm glad you got to do it.
Yeah, so we did that, and.
So is that why we're not hearing any of those songs from the new album?
Well, I'm not really allowed to do them until
Okay.
we've got a release date and stuff like that. So I'm, mixing it up a little. We always try and pick a few different ones each time we come through. You know, there's the kind of staples, the favourites, the hits.
Yeah, Shipwrecked and...
Yeah, from the most recent one, and it also depends on who I managed to get on drums for the week as well. Right?
Yeah. I've seen you 4 times, and I think we've had 4 different drummers.
That could be true.
Yeah.
Where did you see? Have you seen me with Jordan then? Where were you last?
Well, let's see.
Were you
Last I
at
saw
Annapolis?
Rams on Annapolis.
This year?
Yeah, July.
That was Jordan, the
Yeah.
guy that sang and played drums.
And that was fantastic.
Yeah, he's great. So it would have been Kevin, Jordan, Perry, and Amari this time. Yeah.
Okay.
We're like Spinal Tap with drummers at the moment. It's in the US though, because sorry America, but I cannot afford to get visas for all my European musicians. I simply can't. So if Kevin can't do it here, you know, he's playing with Roy Rogers at the moment, a great slide guitar player from California. So if Kevin is already busy when my tour comes through, then I legally cannot bring one of my European drummers to play in the US.
Yeah, I think we discussed that too.
So
Yeah,
and then it's like, okay, I got to find someone, and
That's
then that's how it works. So it's very frustrating. Hopefully something will be able to increasingly counteract, because there's a fun side to playing with different people, but also, you know, creatively you kind of have to go 2 steps back and start again, you know. But there's no way around it, you know. So it's become like Spinal Tap. We've had 8 different drummers do our gig in the last 12 months, right? So
That must be very difficult.
it is difficult, so you have to find the reward in it, you know. But and we're not here quite enough to get anybody on board full time. And obviously, as I say, Kevin would do it if he wasn't already spoken for. But
Right.
you know, if we were here more, then he wouldn't be busy with other people.
Well, we hope you're here more and you're able to make that happen.
It's just not quite enough to keep somebody on board all the time.
Sure, yeah, I
but I
understand.
can't bring someone from Europe, so it's
It is what it is.
It is. It's tricky.
So last time we talked, which was in January, last time I sat down and we had a conversation, you were just about, or had just put out your signature effects?
Yes, my SOV overdrive. Yeah.
And how is that working?
Great. I mean, I've used it anyway for like 8 years.
No, I mean, I know you like it.
Yeah.
How are sales?
Oh, I don't. Do you know what? I don't know yet. I don't know. I know that all the usual suspects went out and grabbed one, but I also know, unfortunately, with the exchange rates with Japan, it's quite pricey here. So I understand. You know, a lot of people have kind of got they've got one anyway. You know, so maybe they don't need a second one,
Right.
or something like that. So I really don't know. Hopefully, some people have grabbed it, because it's a version that has not been available exactly like that before. It's exactly the same as the one I used for 8 years or something, in terms of the circuit voicing. So that's finally available. But
Are there plans for other signature series equipment?
I'm pretty much covered already, really, with the
two rock
with the
amps?
2 rock amp. I got Kurt Mangan strings, and the overdrive, and obviously the SVL guitar isn't a signature guitar, but the 61 part is, you know, my old Strat is a 61, so his main model being a 61 is certainly a nod to that guitar. That's where it all started. So so that's pretty much all I use, really.
So you have it all wrapped up?
Yeah, so I don't know what else we could do, really. Maybe cables or something, I don't know. But I'm very happy with the gear, and of course I had the Two Rocks night. It was under the weather last time.
Last time we talked.
Yeah.
So you were scampering around and you found something.
I was. My friend Glenn, who was here again tonight, brought me his Allen amp over last time, which is a good sounding amp. So, but the Two Rock hung in there this week, so good on it, you know.
So what are the plans for, I mean, you must be thinking a year or two down the road, or are you not?
Yeah, we're starting to. Like I say, that's why I kind of took the foot off the floor, to use another analogy for it, but just not really worried about that too much, and decided, okay, where do I want to go now? And it'll be 3 years in next May since the last studio record, so that's quite a long time, I guess. It's like, wow, 3 years, you know. So it's 2.5 years at the moment, but so we're starting to look at that for next year, you know, and so with the new record coming out, the label's really